I think it's courageous to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry. It's okay to share. It's okay to ask for help. If you continue not committing and setting goals for yourself and really holding yourself accountable, what are the things you could possibly lose? Have you ever let somebody down? Have you ever been disappointed in yourself, the way you acted? Do you find yourself trying to make positive changes in your life, but you continue to fall into old habits? Obviously, you're not alone in this, and I used to constantly feel like I was letting myself and others down by not staying committed to becoming a better version of myself until I found a radical form of accountability that keeps me on track every day. And in today's episode, we're going to have a conversation about what those things are and how you can apply it in your life to see dramatic transformations. Hey guys, welcome to Real Influence. My name is Joey Vaillancourt. I'm your friend, fellow traveler, companion in your search for authentic influence that has a positive impact in your life and those in it. So if you're tired of the negative influences out there conning you into admiration, false aspiration, and inauthenticity, and you're wanting to be influenced through the expression of realness, authenticity, and vulnerability, then you're in the right place. Today's conversation is all about staying committed to your goals in life no matter what. And this is one of the hardest things to do. We all know that we want to become better. We all start off really well. We develop new habits. We start to get into the routine of those new habits. And then what happens? Maybe a month, maybe two, maybe three. Maybe it does last for an extended period of time, but at some point you fall off the wagon. Now, this all started when I felt like I wanted to stop numbing boredom, stress, and anxiety with substances like alcohol. And I was having a hard time staying committed and making the decision. Last year, around February of 2024, I made one of the biggest investments of my life, and it was in myself. At that point, when I made this monumental investment, which was in itself a huge win in the way I shifted my thinking because I accomplished something I never thought I'd be able to do, I decided that, well, what isn't serving me in my life and in this next journey of what I want to accomplish? And since I invested this money, I wanted to put the best foot forward into making sure that I was successful in what I was doing. So I made the decision to quit alcohol, and I wanted to put it all in my favor, so I knew alcohol wasn't serving me. Now, fast forward 8 months later, this is where I'm at in my journey and continuing. I recently revisited the idea of my why at David Bayer's mastermind event. So part of the biggest investment of my life was joining David Bayer's coaching program. And part of the coaching program is a 12-month, basically an annual package of multiple masterminds, meetups, and communities that you have access to that you can tap into, and as well as coaching. So we get to go on wonderful trips. One of these trips was a mastermind event on mindset. And we had an opportunity to go through, and we're going to get into this into another episode. It was a 12-step framework similar to the AA model, but it was reformatted in a way that was applied to everyday life. It doesn't have to be overcoming an addiction, but it is about healing from the inside out. We had an opportunity to go back through, and one of the steps that we went through was defining a strong why. Now, you might have done this before, you might have heard about this, but you never took the time to actually do this. And this is something I also was guilty of. I was like, of course I've got a strong why. I know what my why is. It's my family. It's this. But I didn't really get deep into it. And what we're going to talk about today is getting really, really deep and creating an authentic connection to it. So listen, part of this show, part of this channel, part of my ethos is I want to be as vulnerable as possible. I think it's courageous to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry. It's okay to share. It's okay to ask for help. I was brought up in a lot of circumstances where it wasn't okay to ask for help. To this day, I still have a hard time in certain situations asking for someone's help, as well as getting criticism from people or feedback. Criticism is the negative. Feedback is the positive. So I'm constantly in the middle of like, how do I navigate this? Because I know I've got these old core programs, these old limiting beliefs that are holding me back. But ultimately, I think that vulnerability is courage. And today I'm going to be vulnerable with you. I'm going to share some things that I haven't shared with anybody beyond my immediate family, as well as my own mindset coach. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to open up the possibilities of you expanding how deep you can go with this. And you don't have to declare this to the world like I'm doing today. You don't have to declare this to anybody. This could be a private thing just for you. Okay, so literally it just could be your little secret as to how you define your why. But back at the event, And things got pretty emotional through this process. So if they do get emotional, know that that's okay. That's part of the process. I'm going to go ahead and pull out my phone because I want to literally give you the exact things that I wrote down in the moment when I was feeling the things I was feeling, and what those things were that I wrote down, what those things were that I shared with my wife and my coach. And to this day, I keep in front of me as a reminder. So we're going to go through the steps on how to implement this in your life, but I want to give you real world examples of what I did in my specific situation. So I've got my phone here, and it might be improper to have my phone out during a podcast, but for the reasons of today, I want to share exactly what my gratitude reasons were for doing the changes I wanted to make in my life. Now, this isn't necessarily defining the next part. This is what I want out of life if I were to eliminate the negative things that are impacting me in a non-positive way. So my gratitude reasons, my reasons for what I do, why I want to become better. I want to see my son Leo grow up. I don't want Monica to be alone raising kids on her own. I want to be married and I want to grow old together. I want to live in vibrant health. I want to love deeply and honestly. I want to be a good example for my sons, my family, and my friends. I want to keep achieving more, and I can only do that when I'm at my best. I want to achieve more than ever before with a clear head. I'm a son, I'm a proud father, and I want to make my mother proud. I'm a loving husband with total dedication to my family and true higher self. I want my children to know the fun and value of life. I want to be attractive to my wife and be confident. I want to be clear-minded and alert. I'm patient, kind, understanding with everyone in my life as I'm the best version of me. I want my kids to know a different role model that is me. I want them to look up to me. I want them to be influenced by me through authentic influence. The things that I'm actually doing in my life, that I'm not hiding the bad things. I'm sharing the things I'm struggling with, but I'm making a damn really hard effort at becoming the person I want to be for them. And I know that I can have fun in a sober state because I've proven it many times. You know, alcohol is fun. Substances are fun. You can get in the habit of like thinking fun is the only time you can have, or that alcohol is the only association of fun that you can have. And you can start to put negative definitions and allocations of those things in your life. And I know I deserve better, and I can be more happy than ever before. So those are really the things that, you know, if you want to go a level deeper, I would be like stating them in the present tense state. It would be, I am vibrant, I am healthy, I am confident, and I am a good role model. But those are the things that I wanted. So on the right hand of this equation, it's the things that we want in life. It's the things we want to be and become, or that we're already becoming and embodying. So now that we define kind of what we want, those are our desires, okay? This is what, if we eliminate toxic things, negative things, if we eliminate the things that we used to do that made us who we are today that we're not necessarily happy with, a state that we're in isn't exactly the state we want to be in because we've realized that it's not serving us anymore. At the event, we were asked the question. The question was, what will life look like if you continue on this trajectory? So some examples, you know, could be if you continue binging Netflix, if you continue drinking in excess and you're never your best version of yourself, if you continue not committing and setting goals for yourself and really holding yourself accountable, what are the things you could possibly lose? So in the event, we sat down and we had a journal. One of the power things to do is also to journal with a pen and paper. There's a connection with your writing hand and paper that you don't get necessarily from doing this on your phone all the time. Although if you want to do it, you can. I just think it's more powerful actually journaling. And we all sat there in silence, and we all had a moment to really dig deep into our subconscious, our conscious, whatever you want to call it, or whatever you're tapping into, that's giving you the answers as to what is it that you could lose. And for me, I'm going to share some things that I came across. So I wrote down, I could lose my wife and be miserable, or lose relationships with my kids. I can't imagine not being with my kids, not having the family life I have. I could develop sickness in the physical form or the mental form. I could also die. Like there's people that have heart attacks. There's health issues associated to drinking and substances in my case. Now, if this isn't your case, it doesn't have to be substances. It could be anything in your life that's not serving you and that you know deep down that it's not serving you. And this is where you have to be really extremely honest with yourself. I could leave my wife to be a widow and my children parentless. I could miss the most important things in my life and hold regrets. I'll resent people who are suffering in my life, who need me the most, and when quality time is all they need, it'll prevent me from achieving my deepest desires to be the best person for that person in that time in their life when they need me. Basically, it's robbing me of my deepest desire to be the best partner, father, friend, and family member, and leave a lasting legacy. So what I did is I wrote this down in a journal. I wrote my gratitude reasons, the what do I want, like my ultimate version of myself, in a separate thing. Now I've got two sides of the equation. I've got the what could I lose, and then what do I want if I don't want to lose these things? What do I really want on the opposite? Because it's important to understand the connection. If you just focus on the problem all the time or the things you don't want, but you never focus on the opposite side of like, well, if that's not what you want, what's the opposite of what you want? Most of us stay stuck in the problem thing, right? It's like, I just don't want this to happen anymore. I'm tired of this happening. And that's okay. Awareness is key, but awareness without the progression to, well, what's the desire? What's the want? What's the outcome? You're going to stay stuck in the problem-centered environment that will never allow you to grow. And then the what could I lose? The next step of the journey for us was to actually share this with somebody in your life. One of the things that's most powerful is when you declare it. Declaring it to yourself is always going to remain a secret. And if you're private, that's cool for the initial phase. But, even in AA, there's a part where you're sharing with either a sponsor or somebody in a community as to what you're going through, and you're sharing it with the world, and you're declaring it. There's no more hiding, right? Like you're literally like, it's almost like standing naked in front of people. It's a very vulnerable situation, but it's very liberating and freeing. And I had the opportunity to sit down with my wife, and at lunch, we were like casually going to talk about what's the worst thing could happen to our life if we don't make a change. I mean, it was a really light, dinner time conversation, but we shared with each other. And as I was going through this list, and this is the power of sharing out loud with someone else, I started to get emotional, and I started to tear up, and I started to cry. There was a level of connection I had to it that I wouldn't have gotten just from writing it down. And we both understood each other better. And we're able to now support each other, knowing what our deepest fears are and the reasons why, so that when she's struggling or I'm struggling, we can remind each other of who we want to become and know what's at stake. So I know this might be a lot for you if you've never done any of these steps, and you don't have to list an extensive list at the start, but start with one thing that you could lose and one thing you desire in your life that you haven't necessarily attracted yet, or the person you want to become. And here are 5 steps that I recommend doing this, okay? So number 1, you want to define what your goal is. What is it that you want to accomplish in life? Is it more success? Is it more money? Is it more happiness, more peace, better family life? But define what that is, okay? Say, I want to be peaceful in my life while I'm successful and working less, okay? Step 2 are, what are the things holding you back? You need to do an inventory of the things and be really, really honest with yourself. And you probably know this, right? Like, we all neglect the things that we know are detrimental because it's like, oh, it's just a little guilty pleasure. And it's not to say you have to become a robot and not have fun ever and do the things that you love doing. But there's some things that you probably lean into a little bit more than others. And, this could be alcohol, it could be substances, it could be lack of follow through, like procrastination. It could be numbing, it could be Netflix, it could be deferring things to another day. Whatever the case is, you want to make a list, an inventory of all the things that you consider are holding you back today. And then number 3, what could happen if you don't stop this behavior? So what may never happen if you don't stop this? Like, you won't accomplish your goal. You could, at another extreme, you might die because your health isn't at the optimal level. You could lose your business. You could lose your wife. You could lose your family, your relationships, your friends. All these other things that you need to define for yourself. I'm giving some examples from my own experience, but yours are going to be completely different. But hopefully provide you a jumping off point to really dig into what those things are that you could lose if you don't actually make a change in your life. It's really important to define this part because you want this to be the left side of the equation. And then on the opposite side of the equation, number 4, how would you feel if you did accomplish these things? So it's a little bit different, right? First step was to define your goals, but now we want to tap into the feeling. If you made, let's say you wanted to make $1 million in your business, great. How does that make you feel though? What would that look like? What would be the daily routine? Can you visualize this in your mind? What would you be doing differently? And you want to really write this down and focus on the feeling of if you've accomplished it already, and write this out and make sure that you get really creative. Take some time with this, meditate on it, and reiterate weekly to look at it again and again and build up a more solid foundation. You're going to write all of this down. This is step number 5, okay? This is really, really an important step because we can do this exercise once, but it doesn't really get registered. making it really stick is putting it on paper, on your phone, printing it out, putting it as your desktop background, anything that's going to be in plain sight, and making sure that you continue to revisit this and really, really connect with it. All right. So number 6 is what I'd like to do. I calendar this in. So, whether it's once a week or once a day, I'm reading the what could I lose? Okay, I'm not so focused on it anymore because I've established it, right? I've connected pretty emotionally with it. I know it's ingrained, but if ever I have a moment of weakness or I'm off track, I'll go revisit that. And it's like, hey, Joey, you made these plans and, you're not following through on them. Why is that? Okay, let's identify that. But number 2, what is it that you're not going to achieve and how's that going to make you feel and what could you possibly lose from that? Oh crap, I don't want that to happen, so I need to really go back and dig in. This is the accountability cycle that you need to create. Routines are amazing, habits are great, but if you don't have your strong enough why, then you'll never achieve anything because you'll just continue to fall off the wagon because you have no real reason to continue to follow through. And this is what I experienced in my life multiple times over. And by the way, I'm not perfect at this yet. Nobody's ever going to be perfect. The real focus you need to do is put in the repetitions, be forgiving of yourself if you fall off the wagon or you're not following through, and then get right back on. Start back. It's okay if you fall off, okay? Now, the goal of this is to create a foundation that can be built upon. If you have a strong enough why at the bottom of the foundation here, then everything else is going to fall into place. If you don't have a strong foundation, everything you build upon that is going to crumble. Okay, the foundation is key. So start with those 6 things, okay? If you walk through this video again, pause it, make a list of all those different things we walked through, revisit it weekly, tap into it emotionally, meditate upon it, visualize, work with a partner if you feel like you can trust somebody with these things and you're ready to take that step, and be ready to get emotional. It's the more emotional, not emotional, but the more you can connect deeply with your purpose, your why, your desires, the more likely you are to follow through on these types of things. So if this is your first time listening, watching, don't forget. So if this is your first time listening or watching this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share with someone else who would benefit from this message today. One of the reasons I'm doing this is because not that I think that I'm the full expert in all these matters, but someone else shared this with me. Someone shared these techniques. Someone allowed me to grow. And if you can pass that on to somebody else, I'd be extremely grateful. And I know that they'd be better off for it as well. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, like button. It's the currency of today. It's really simple to do. And I would really, really appreciate it. And as always, continue challenging your assumptions to shape your new reality and start leading with real influence in your life and the life of others. We'll see you on the next one.